Yeah.
Here comes Janet.
Okay, there's Janet. Hello, Janet. Okay. Hi, Janet.
Good evening, Gordon. Good evening, Priscilla.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order. First thing is approval of the minutes of March 15th. Their motion to approve.
I so move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you,
Aye.
John. Yeah, unanimous. Good.
Fine
Communication.
start.
Yeah. Communications, I have one from the Highway Department. We will be resurfacing the roads in East Cornwall, Great Hill, College Street, Great Hollow, some of Essex Hill. So anyway, there won't be any road closures, but that work will be happening. And when we get a firm date, we'll put it up on the website to let people know what's happening there. And again, no road closures, but some activity out in East Cornwall towards the end of the month. Any additions to the agenda?
I have one.
Yes.
I just want to do a quick update on healthcare.
Okay. So that's a motion to add healthcare.
Yes, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of adding healthcare?
Aye.
Aye. Good. So into our agenda, we have COVID update. The town is having a clinic this Wednesday, or next Wednesday, sorry, a week from tomorrow, the 13th of April, 1 to 6 in the town hall. All vaccines are available. And thank you, Jen Marco, for setting that up, and we'll put out publicity about that. And again, all vaccines are available. There are still cases being reported, even though hospitalizations are down. People in town are still getting COVID on a regular basis. And we know that people with compromised immune systems are encouraged now to get a second booster. So, and I believe those will be available at the clinic. So we stay vigilant, and again, thank the people for putting that clinic on the 13th at Town Hall. Let's see. So that's all I had on COVID, other than it's still with us. Eversource funding for EV charging stations. That's a news item that Eversource is willing to pay, I believe, up to $20,000 for electric charging stations in municipalities. There's been some excitement about this and the chance of installing charging stations in our village centers, West Cornwall, Cornwall Bridge, and Cornwall Village. So what I'd like to do is investigate the funding and get some more pricing a little bit and find out. We have no money in a budget to do this at this point, but we'll find out what funding sources are out there, and how much it would cost to do it, and how much it would cost to operate these stations, Apparently it's one thing to install it, but it's another thing to operate one and maintain it. So, but I do think it's a great idea. As you see more and more electric vehicles on the road, and it will also help will put us on the map as a place people can recharge their vehicles. So I'd like a motion to investigate the funding and the costs of installing electric vehicle charging stations under this Connecticut program, which everybody says is very generous, in the 3 village centers. So can I have a second, Priscilla?
I'll second it.
Okay, so any discussion about this?
No, I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Cornwall used to have almost a dozen gas stations back in the 20s and 30s. And now with electric vehicles, we will have more. We'll at least maybe have several places that people can get fueled up even without gasoline. So again, if the state is pushing this, and again, it will put us on maps and draw people in to areas. We'll look at what some locations are, costs, and keep it as an agenda item, how we're going to fund it and operate it. So, any more discussion? Okay, so all's in favor?
Aye.
Next on agenda is resolution opposition to Sharon Hospital plan to end maternity service. Over the past 6 months, I have attended several sessions with the administration of Sharon Hospital and physicians who work at Sharon Hospital and citizens who are concerned about the transformative plans of the hospital administration, which would end maternity services at the hospital and also would curtail some of the other services that are there. There was a meeting with the group Save Sharon Hospital and Maria Horn last week, and there has been several resolutions. I know the town of Northeast, otherwise known as Millerton, did pass a resolution last fall stating their opposition. There's been one that was circulated also the other night that also goes beyond just the maternity service, but also talks about maintaining the intensive care and after-hour surgeries, which are concerns of the physicians there who have voted, I believe, nearly unanimously to oppose this this transformative plan. So do you have a copy of that resolution? It says statement of support to maintain all vital services at Sharon Hospital. Does the board have that?
Yes, I read that.
Yeah. So, John, I think we're going with that's the Northeast one. Do you have a copy of the other one that says statement of support that just came up out of last week?
It would take me a minute to pull it up.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
can
on the
read it.
computer.
I mean, I'll be glad to read it. I have it here. And basically this says statement of support to maintain all vital services at Sharon Hospital. We stand in support of maintaining Sharon Hospital as a full-scale hospital for the following reasons. 1, Sharon Hospital is a cornerstone of our community, and the labor and delivery service is the entry point for families in its catchment area. It is well established that community hospitals without maternity units shrivel. Further, long and uncertain travel for women in labor is neither safe nor sustainable. Clearly, not only the families, not only young families, but everyone involved in local business and schools will suffer if the hospital shutters its maternity service. And since the community looks forward to an increase of young families over time, it is essential that Sharon Hospital preserve its labor and delivery service. Two, maintaining the hospital's intensive care unit is critical for the health and well-being of our citizens. Relatedly, we must maintain an ICU expertise to treat the inevitable cases of complicated medical and surgical patients. In addition, by maintaining ICU patient care at a hospital close to patient support services, the added stress of travel and uncertain weather will be avoided. Finally, it is unlikely that primary care doctors will think twice about an affiliation with a hospital lacking an ICU unit equipped and staffed with the requisite expertise. Our area could face a further decrease in primary care physicians, which in turn could lead in an exodus of citizens of all ages, including retirees, the very demographic that features in the plan to reconfigure Sharon Hospital services. Three, maintenance of after-hour surgery is vital to our citizens because accidents and illness do not always happen between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. It is time for Connecticut to support its healthcare in rural communities. We ask our select persons, state legislators, our governor, and congressional members do everything within their power to create the changes needed to ensure the well-being of rural communities in Connecticut. Everyone deserves equal access to healthcare, no matter where they live, signed by a committee or individual. So, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I approve. I will so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
So, yeah, but so the background also to this is that the hospital has to apply to the state to amend their certificate of need because they committed when they bought the hospital several years ago to maintain it at the full services for 5 years. It has not been 5 years. So they have to apply to the state to amend that agreement. At the meeting, I believe Senator Minor and Representative Horn said there may be some things the state can do as far as granting special considerations to a rural acute care hospital, vital hospital, based on the geographic isolation of our area. And this would allow for greater rates of reimbursement for births. And I believe that's how Fairview Hospital in Great Barrington can maintain itself despite having fewer births than they do in Sharon. So anyway, so we do have support and cooperation in ways to strengthen the hospital. This does not necessarily have to be an adversarial situation, and we hope that our efforts will lead to maintaining a full service hospital, which is very integral to our healthcare here. Any other comments from the board?
Yep, I got one.
Sure.
Can you help me understand the difference between a resolution and a statement? Is there one that's more powerful than the other?
No, as long as we pass it, I think it's fine.
Okay.
The other one was a little more, what do you want, formal, be it resolved, whereas.
Yeah.
It does not have a lot of whereases in it, but
Okay.
it does bring in other services that are threatened to be cut besides just maternity. And I guess that's my concern, that this overall plan would hollow out the hospital already services like testing and other things that used to be performed there. And already a lot of transfers, acute care transfers, or patients with acute conditions have to be transferred out. So some of this is already going on. So again, this was drawn up by a layperson as opposed to an attorney, but I think it hits the points. And I would be glad if we pass this to send this on to our representatives and to our governor, because I think people are very aware of this is what's going on, especially in rural areas. And the suggestion that people should drive to Danbury in labor seems like a long way away, especially in bad weather. So, anyway, any other thoughts, comments?
No, I think this is necessary.
Yes, and again, it will be a process that will have public input. And so we will tell people when they can make their voices heard, what the process is, because it's very important. And I think this is, I believe, going on also in the eastern part of the state where they're looking at closing down some of the maternity there. So it's become a statewide issue of, quality rural healthcare. Okay, so any other discussion on this issue? Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Okay, passes unanimously, and we'll send that on to our higher levels. And
do we
again,
need to sign that, Gordon?
yeah, I think what we probably can do is get it in a. We will use this text and put a signature page on it.
Okay.
So that would be good before we send it off. Yeah, good point there. Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to see that, we're fully in support of this.
We're unanimous,
Unanimous in our support.
unanimous support.
It's a great word.
Yes. Maybe we can even put that, a statement of unanimous support.
yes,
At
like
the
it.
corner. We'll do
Yeah.
that. It's our resolution, our statement of unanimous support of the Cornwall Board of Selectmen.
Gordon, can I throw one other thing out? It's
Sure.
not really discussion, it's not to the motion, but I wonder if there's a way we can encourage our fellow selectmen from other towns to submit their statement or resolution or whatever they care to do, but to do it.
Yeah, I think as would be the case, that different towns have different approaches, but I'm pretty sure that most of the towns in Region 1 will be sending something like this. This came out of Salisbury. So again, I think I would definitely encourage our other towns, because again, we as a community, we as a region also rely on Sharon Hospital for our emergency medical services is directed out of that facility. So the weaker that gets, it plays into a lot of different things. It's not just maternity. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments on Sharon Hospital? And again, we'd encourage this resolution. Once we get it, we'll put it up on the website as a news item. So people what I'm going to do also is get a contact information so people can write the state, the Office of Healthcare Access, or whoever's doing the proceedings, because they have apparently an open portal. And even though the formal process hasn't happened yet, they are receiving communications. So that will go out there. Okay, next, number 4, Memorial Day. I've been talking to people, and again, even though COVID is still with us, there seems to be consensus that as we celebrate Memorial Day outside, and we haven't done it in a full way for a couple years, and that is one of the best townwide celebration and one of the most important celebrations we have in our community. There is interest at the school and at the UCC, and sure amongst the veterans, to have a Memorial Day parade. So we're going to, pursue that. Again, if COVID spikes or something happens, then we can always, bad weather or whatever, we can always cancel it. But I think at this point, we're going to try to do it. That there is usually a carnival following the parade at United Church of Christ. They are under construction at the current time, or will be. So, and also not having done it for a while, they may do a limited carnival, and they may have some events on the town green, or we will work with them to make sure there will be some. some parts of the carnival there, which is a good local fundraiser for worthy causes. Following the parade, our focus, of course, is on the parade and honoring our veterans. And so let's see, let's make a motion to then again to pursue having a full Memorial Day parade and observance on this Memorial Day. So I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes. Any discussion? And again, health and safety is always first, but hopefully, again, because it's an outside venue, and people know what protocols to use. I think we have we're in a better place now than we were in the last 2 years of pulling something off. So, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, just to let people know, there will be a in-person and remote, which is called hybrid budget hearing at 7:30 p.m. on April 22nd at CCS. People do not have to come. Barbara is going to have a remote Zoom access from her laptop. It may not be as thorough as some hybrid systems, but she used it down in Kent to good effect. And again, so we are planning to do that on April 22nd. We are still working on the budget. There is a good report on our work to date in the Chronicle that just came out today. And we hope to see a reduction in the mill rate that's fairly significant due to revaluation. And the Board of Finance is meeting Thursday night to try to put some finishing touches on the budget. So anyway, people are encouraged to come participate, and we will have the budget, the preliminary budget up on the website ahead of that April 22nd, once the Board of Finance approves both the selectmen's budget and the school budget. So look forward to that. There will be a town meeting following that on May 20th, also at 7:30 p.m. at CCS. That will be a in-person vote. It's a general consensus of municipalities. It's very hard to do a online voting system. So the recommendation from most municipalities is that all votes that need to be taken by municipalities have be done in person. And so we will have a vote in person on the budget that night. So people will again have a remote, people will be able to see the meeting in real time, but they won't be able to vote unless they are there at that place, which is the school at May 20th. There will be several other items on that annual town meeting. One is granting Blaine Matthews of Wickham Hill a easement to cross Wickham Hill Road with a septic pipe. This has to be done because it involves town property at a town meeting. And the second thing is appropriating approximately $40,000 of ARPA funds to this year's budget. I'll go over our ARPA funds on item 13, but there is slightly over $40-something thousand left in the ARPA funds after our disbursements that I'll report about. And it was the feeling of the ARPA committee that that money should go to the frontline workers that did so much for the community during the pandemic. And that will go up to the Board of Finance on Thursday night also. So in order to get it into this year's budget, we have to expand the budget, even though we have the money from ARPA already sitting in the bank. In order to spend that, we have to vote at a town meeting to expand this year's budget to spend that money. So there'll be more details about all that forthcoming. So those are the three items that will be on the annual town budget meeting. And we will sign off on that paperwork and the official call at our next meeting, which will be on the 19th. But at this point, can we have a vote to schedule that so I can tell the Chronicle that those will be the 3 items to be discussed and voted on? The town budget for the next year, the 22-23 budget, the ARPA funds for frontline workers and first responders, and the Matthews septic easement. So that way we, okay, is there a second?
Second,
Okay, so this enables us, by us voting to do this, we don't have the precise language of all this resolutions, but it will let us notify people by way of the Chronicle, which is almost 2 months ahead of time, that this is what we're going to be doing in May, so people know what will be on that agenda. So any more discussion about the town meeting that's coming up in May? Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Yeah, next big item is the West Cornwall wastewater project schedule. As people know from the previous meeting, that we did receive substantial federal support through the work of Congresswoman Hayes and into this year's federal budget of $3 million for the West Cornwall wastewater project. So I have talked to our voting officials, talked to Todd Piker, who's chair of the study group that's helping us pull off a referendum, and Steve McDonald, who has updated his cost figures. So it looks likely now that we could have, we're going to work on getting cost figures finalized and scrutinized. We're going to work on the legal language the next in April, have some informational meetings in June, and hope to vote in July on this issue. So anyway, there'll be more publicity, but now that we will have some cost figures, I can work with Barbara on the financial impact of this. The cost has probably gone up because those figures are several years old, and there's been, as everybody knows, inflation in construction costs. But on the good side, we have more funding than we thought we were going to have. So we'll work on the financial information this week. Todd has scheduled a meeting for the study group to talk about this in detail. And they'll be back to their regular meeting schedule, which is the second Tuesday of the month at 5 o'clock. So that, I believe, is the 12th. And that will be a Zoom meeting, publicized, posted, and going over again these cost estimates, the voting schedules, and we're getting very close to being able to make a decision on this. So I don't think we need to vote on any of that. Are there any questions from the board? That's a lot of information in a short period of time. But again, we're going to be working on getting our numbers organized this month, get our budget and town meeting done in May, and then get into this project with informational meetings in June and have a vote in July. Seems like that's a doable project. We are also in communication with Congresswoman Hayes's office about how soon these funds will be available. But the town does have some, does have some financial reserves that they could probably cover the cost for the first short while of the project. The sequence would be design and permitting for the first year. So if we had an affirmative vote in the summer of 2022, it would take us into 2023 to really get the permits, the approvals from the state and federal government, get the design done, and then we would go out to bid in 2023 after we got, all the designs approved by the necessary bigger authorities. So that design period would take a while. So if we didn't get the federal money, we probably could get Steve in motion fairly quickly, the engineer. So anyway, but a lot to do. But I think we're getting really to a decision point on that project. Any comments, questions? Again, we'll dig into this deeper next Tuesday, 5 o'clock. And Barbara and I will be digging into it deeper in the meantime. Okay, no other comments on the West Cornwall fiber optics. We have been talking to our neighbors and to Optimum. Johan Windsor wrote a good update and also in the Chronicle today about where we stand. And I met with him and Andrew Hofer. We met with people in Goshen. They are looking at now putting 2 cabinets up to house a lot of their equipment. And we haven't seen the applications come into planning and zoning yet. But the land use, they're not major. They're not major structures or anything. They're fairly small cabinets, similar to what you see when people have underground power. So Karen from the land use office is talking to other towns about.
Karen asked me to say something about what you're talking about.
Sure.
Because Karen has consulted with Marty Connor.
Yes.
Who is a well-known planning and zoning person. It's his opinion that the Planning and Zoning Commission has no role to play in where they put the cabinets. Cabinets placed on the state highway are under the umbrella of the DOT. Cabinets placed on town roads are under the umbrella of the town road foreman in terms of, or the Board of Selectmen. So the Planning and Zoning Commission will not be having anything to do with this.
Yeah, so again, what we're asking for them to do is to file a site plan so we know where these cabinets are. But this is essentially a utility upgrade in the same way when they put in bigger power poles, they do not ask, or they put in new transformers, they do not ask for the permission or a regulatory process, because that's generally covered by the state Department of Utility Controls. So I agree, it's going to be very short. It'd be a very short process to approve these. So again, but we do want to see a site plan. We want to see what they are doing and where they're doing it.
And
so,
you can certainly request that. You have every right to. It's just that planning and zoning doesn't have to touch this issue.
Okay, that's okay with you. Don't touch it. Yeah. So anyway, so it sounds like, again, we're optimistic of getting these cabinets in that they need to do before they string wire, but their people are saying they're going to string fiber to the home starting this year after they get the cabinets in. What's interesting is they will also, they'll have to get people to sign up for all this, and they will be competing in some ways with their standard cable system, which will still be in place. So again, for a short period of time anyway, they will be maintaining 2 internet services in our small town, and people will have to choose. And we are looking at details as far as how are they going to approach long driveways. Is one issue that came up. So again, we are monitoring with our other towns this progress, and we're optimistic of seeing seeing things happen, starting with the cabinets. Any questions? Thank you for that update, Anna. On Optimum Fiber.
I just have a quick question.
Yes,
So just making sure that we get the highest, best use of fiber. Like if we're not, I mean, I certainly am happy that Optimum is doing this, but I also want to make sure we've got the best, I guess, for lack of a better word, system possible. And if that means in the future, looking at, I guess, buttoning another solution on top of what Optimum offers, I'm hoping that this board is open to that idea.
I think so. Again, at this point, I don't see the town getting into the utility business. And Optimum, I believe, does have some franchise rights to the town. So there are limited options to this, as opposed to this. But again, we're still at a fairly early stage, but we do need to have particulars as far as cost. The cost we've heard preliminarily will be similar, if not less than the current cable cost, which is which is not what people thought it was going to be. But again, because they want to switch people over from cable, they have to have a competitive price. So the other question too is how long would these favorable prices last? But they are also a state regulated utility. So we'll stay tuned. So again, we're trying to get some sort of region-wide meeting with the 8 towns and the executives of Optimum set up. So we'll learn more when that happens.
Gordon, just one more quick question.
Yes.
Do we know the speeds that they're, I don't know, guaranteeing is the right word, but both in both directions? Do we have any idea of what they're talking about?
I don't have that on the top of my head, but it's.
I'd be interested to find that out, what they're, because, as we move forward, things are getting so much faster. And, for medical use, for work at home, if you're not only downloading, but needing to upload large files, and those files are just getting bigger and bigger. If we also have shared lines, that's an issue too. So it's just looking to see what they're offering and really what it is and what it is going to offer in the future.
Yep, everything I've heard is robust is the word. So, and I believe they have already done this in other parts of the state. So we're not the first.
Okay.
But we're okay. Any other? But I'll try to find that out. Good
Thank
question. Upload, download speed.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on Optimum? Let's see, next Park and Rec changes. Few personnel changes at Park and Rec. Let's see, Johan Windsor has resigned from Park and Rec, and Michelle Shipp is been elected the chair, and Jane Hall they're asking us to promote Jane Hall from an alternate to a regular member. So I would be glad to make that motion. And that is, the motion is to promote Jane Hall from alternate to regular member of Park and Rec.
Second,
Any discussion? Thank you, Jane. She's also, I believe, completed an EMT course, so she's really doing a lot. So anyway, thank her for her service. So all those in favor, aye?
aye.
Yes, and I just would like to take a minute to thank the departing chair, Johan Windsor, for his many years of working with Park and Rec. I remember him organizing road races in Cornwall Village, working on trails down along the river, and especially I will remember him in his hat shaped like a pumpkin, serving soup at the Halloween dinners. So, Johan did 200% for the town with Park and Rec, and thank him very much for his service. And I will write him to say so. So that's the update from Park and Rec. Next, we have flag request for the town green. Received a letter this month saying, "Hello, select person. I write to request that the town celebrate Pride Month by flying the pride flag for the month of June on the town green, and the flag can be donated." So I would make a motion that we grant this request. Is there a second?
Second,
Second. In terms of discussion, we haven't done this before. We have flown other flags. Now we have the Cornwall flag there, which actually is in need of replacement. We needed to get a fresh one anyway. But I think this request is appropriate. I've seen other towns do this. So I think it's a good idea. Any other comments? This would be for the month of June.
No, we're proud of all our citizens. I think it's a great way to recognize Pride Month.
Okay, any other comments? So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So this request got me also thinking that I have seen a lot of Ukrainian flags flying in town, and that does seem to be a worldwide issue that resonates here locally. And we haven't ever, to my knowledge, flown a flag from another country on our town green besides the American flag, and certainly it would be underneath the American flag. It's not a replacement for the American flag, but I think this world has watched what's happening in Ukraine with horror, and trying to do, a lot of people are trying to support the Ukrainians in their struggle. And I think it would be a good gesture for us, because sometimes people feel helpless and don't know what to do, that we as a community, fly the Ukrainian flag until we fly the pride flag, or until Memorial Day, as a symbol of support for the Ukrainian people, and encouraging our people to support them and give them whatever aid they can. I know there's going to be a fundraiser at the new restaurant in West Cornwall on Saturday, the 16th of April. And I know there have been other fundraisers in the area that do make a difference. You see some of these relief agencies feeding people that are in really bad shape. So there's nothing better we can do for our worldwide citizens to support them in their time of need. So I would make a motion that we fly the Ukrainian flag as soon as I can find out where to get one of the right size on the town green, as soon as we can get one.
I will absolutely second that. I think that's amazing.
So, and again, when this issue came up, I don't want to be the only town doing this. I don't want to create a diplomatic crisis, but I know other somewhat larger municipalities have done this. And I know, just driving around town, the grassroots of Cornwall, all political parties, all persuasions, people are doing what they can to help that out. So I think we can, for lack of better words, lead that support, and with this small symbolic gesture. So any other thoughts, Priscilla?
no, I like the idea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So again, all those in favor of purchasing and a Ukrainian flag and flying it on the town green as soon as possible, and encouraging as a symbol of our encouragement of our citizens to support the Ukrainians in their time of need. So all those in favor? Aye. Another unanimous vote. Okay, thank you for both of those. Let's see, a little more, a little calmer issue is the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. We have a resolution. That's something we're supposed to, and basically this resolution enables us by adopting the Northwest Hills Council Government's resolution. It allows us to qualify for grants for from FEMA to mitigate hazards, particularly natural hazards. So we have it right up there on our screen, courtesy of John. So here's the resolution. You can, here's your whereases, Janet. So there's quite a few whereases there. I think I see 6 whereases. We did approve the previous plan in 2014. Everybody can read those things. Resolved that the plan is hereby adopted as official plan of the town of Cornwall. Respective officials identified in mitigation strategy of the plan hereby directed to pursue implementation recommended actions assigned to them, the future revisions, plan maintenance required by 44 CFR 201.6 and FEMA are hereby adopted as part of this resolution for a period of 5 years. From the date of this resolution, and a report on the progress implementation elements of the plan shall be presented to the Board of Selectmen, adopted today by the Board of Selectmen. So basically, we have a plan to mitigate flooding and have emergency shelters in time of disasters. And again, we're constantly looking at ways to make things better, safer. So is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I so move.
Is there a second? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, another unanimous vote. Thank you. Now we're on to, we're moving on to the US Bike Route 7. I think we have Terry Burke here visiting with us. I talked to him earlier today. As presented previously to the board, we find ourselves in the fortunate situation to be located as a town along US Route 7, or sorry, US Bike Route 7, which follows Route 7 to Route 4 to Route 125 to Route 128 to River Road, on its way from New York to Montreal. And other towns are supporting this. And what we have to do is file what's called an encroachment permit, which is basically seeking permission from the state DOT to put up signs in their right of way, with our cabinets. But anyway, and then Terry's group has a grant that would actually pay for the installation of these signs and I believe maintenance of these signs. There is one sign going on River Road. So we'd have a 2-part motion, one to file an encroachment permit for, I believe, the 16 signs going on the state roads, even though they'll be installed by somebody else, and that we would agree to have one sign on River Road near the newly restored embankment going over Mill Brook. So I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Does Terry want to add any finesse to this discussion?
Gordon, can I speak?
You bet.
Okay.
Yes.
Basically, this is really the culmination of a process that started a good 10 years ago. And I really want to say thank you from all the cyclists around here to the town of Cornwall and the other towns in Connecticut that have helped us with establishing the Western New England Greenway, which led to the towns writing to DOT, and then the DOT, in conjunction with the DOTs in Massachusetts and Vermont, writing to the American Association of Highway and Transport Officials in California, AASHTO, and ultimately creating national US Bike Route 7, which doesn't go along Route 7, except in one or two places. It follows the US 7 corridor. And this is the last stage, putting up the signs. There really isn't a downside. It's environmentally good, it's healthy, it's hopefully will join up the communities. And actually, even this summer, we know one group have been writing to us and they want to take about 15, 20 riders through. I think they're going to stay in Cornwall in the Inn at Cornwall Bridge, the little motel there, and they'll ride through. So I don't see any downsides, but I really appreciate the support we've got from the towns in Connecticut.
Yeah, thank you, Terry, for, prodding us along through the process. It was good. I rode my bike to work today on the proposed bikeway. It'll be good to have some signage so I don't get lost. Not that I ever have on my way downtown. But also it was very good I've been contacted by 5 8th graders from Cornwall Consolidated School that are doing an independent project, senior project on developing bike routes in the area. So I put them in touch with Terry and with our bike store shop. So hopefully when we put up the sign, maybe we can have some young citizens.
They interviewed me for 45 minutes and I hope they edit it down considerably.
Yeah, they had a lot of good questions though. I think some of them biking to school on this proposed bikeway. So anyway, I think it's all good. Thank you. So then, do we have a motion and second for that?
Second,
Okay. So, all those in favor?
aye.
Great. Okay, thank you, Terry. And you'll get me the paperwork.
Yep.
Great. Next item is Arbor Funds. The Arbor Committee met, and again, we dispersed more funds to nonprofit organizations and businesses in town that were impacted by COVID. We've now used up approximately $150,000 of our $200,000 grant for that purpose. And I think it's been spread out through a lot of the organizations that really benefit people here and really improve our quality of life, and will also help with people that are impacted with the pandemic, whether it's the Chore Service, the Housatonic Youth Service Bureau, Greenswood Counseling, or the food pantry. So again, it was great to have those funds to make sure all those really important organizations are able to continue their work. There's approximately $43,000 that we've left over, which the Board of Finance is going to act on putting into this year's budget so that we can give some stipends out to some of our frontline people, which is again allowed and even promoted as part of the ARPA program. So that will come up at the town meeting, and we're still working out the details on how that would work. So that's my ARPA. update. We have another round coming up in June, another $200,000. The committee's, I think, done a good job so far, and looking forward. There's a couple other projects in the pipeline, including housing, that we're going to try to address in the next round. So again, the part of that was we did allocate $15,000 for the food pantry, and we may come back with a supplemental thing, a supplemental application after June. What's happened locally, and Heather's going to write an article about this, is that a lot of the people have moved on past COVID, but the impacts are still there for many families that are struggling. And the federal support has, and a lot of the federal benefits have also gone away. So we are seeing a record demand for social services here in town. And also, as people are focusing on other things, donations are down. So to the rescue comes Heather Deneen, and she called me up, or she texted me this afternoon and said that we have been accepted as a partner by the Connecticut Food Bank, which is a statewide organization which does bulk buying of food for pantries and then delivers them to the pantries. We will actually be the smallest partner in size, but they were compelled by her narrative to bring us into the tent. So that will enable us to reduce our cost of providing food substantially. So again, that one piece of information will go a long way towards stabilizing, allowing us to have the supply meet the demand at the food pantry. So that's really good news in that regard. So again, a lot of things happening in town, and again, it's great to have a team working on all these issues. So that's all I had. Any other questions, thoughts on food pantry, ARPA? Heather will be writing some details up about that. And we'll have a full list of the organizations. I'll try to get for the next meeting a list of an accounting of all the organizations and businesses that have received ARPA funds to date, as we're sort of getting to that ending of that phase. Let's see. Next, we have tax refund recommendations from our tax collector. Somewhere, yes, here we have. We have three tax refunds. First one is $78.33 for overpayment of real estate tax. Second one is $70.14 for overpayment of real estate tax. And the final one is more substantial, $2,357.21 for overpayment of real estate tax. So I'll make a motion that we grant all these. Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, thank you, Jean, for staying on these. All those in favor?
aye.
Okay, thank you. Next, last thing we have is Janet's healthcare update.
So tomorrow there will be a meeting. Community Health and Wellness will be touring the Union and the library. I did speak with Margaret and got permission to house the healthcare team, the mobile healthcare team in the library. So on Wednesdays, starting in May, and we're working out the exact hours, but it's going to be, a couple hours at the Union and a couple hours down at the library, and that will be well publicized. So the CEO and a couple of members of her staff, it's Joanne Borduas, and then a few members of her staff will be coming over tomorrow to just assess the spaces and just see if there's anything that we need to do or add or bring to make it comfortable for them. They'll be parking the mobile unit outside. It does have a lot of branding on it, so it's very clear that who they are and what they're there for. So if anybody does need services, it'll be very easy to find it, but we will be publicizing that. Also, I had a conversation with the former president of the third largest healthcare system in the United States. We are lucky to have him living nearby. He's actually coming to this meeting too and adding his expertise. So I asked him to come to the meeting. He agreed to do so. He's good at problem solving in the healthcare arena. We're not going to be anywhere near the problems he solved in healthcare in the past, but he was very interested in helping us do so.
Great.
So so he'll be as part of the team solving that need and looking to future opportunities for building a healthcare permanence in Cornwall.
Great. I think I heard it correctly that Maria Horn said that as part of the state bonding package that went through, this same organization got $3 million to build a healthcare clinic in the town of North Canaan. So
Yes.
again, having basically a walk-in clinic in Region 1 is really good. So, especially on this side of the mountain. So, anyway, they seem to be an up and coming organization. So we'll look forward. And what's the first date on that again, Janet?
So the first date that we have talked about is May 6th.
Yep.
I will confirm everything tomorrow in our conversation, just making sure that they have everything they need and we can do it in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
And then make sure to get the word out. But they're prepared to, start and do it in stages. So, and we'll have a full, in the next meeting, I'll be able to give you an update and then talk about everything that'll be offered there, in these first couple of months that they're operating. But it's I think it's really exciting and they're a wonderful partner to work with.
Great. And can you get the details to Ann Gold, because she's the Chronicle editor, is doing the briefs this month. So in case I won't forget, but in case I do,
Ann
good
Gold.
to make sure.
Got it.
And it'll be good.
Yeah, we were actually working on a flyer today. So
Yeah.
that'll be approved by Community Health and Wellness, and then it'll go to print and get that out.
Great. Okay. Anything else on healthcare? All right. Well, we covered quite a few things. So now we're down to we're at public comment. Everyone's welcome to comment, having sat through our meeting. If there's anyone, raise your hand and John will call you.
Ruth?
Yes. Oh, heavy
Um,
questioning from the press. Yes, Ruth Epstein.
Press. Hello, Gordon.
Hello.
Can you send us a copy of the resolution against Sharon Hospital's closure?
Yes,
That would be,
definitely.
that would
But
be very
we'll
good.
we'll update it and sign it and get it to you this week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Lila.
And send it to me too.
Okay.
If you would please. And also could you tell me the amount again that Eversource is possibly paying? It
I
was
believe it's up to $20,000, but we're still preliminary at this point. So that was what was put out there as a number to get our attention.
Oh, yes. Okay. It got my
Not
attention.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's certainly not per station, because everything I've heard, the stations aren't that expensive. So it may be per municipality. So we are lucky again to have people in town that have worked on installing these stations. So we're gonna be relying on them.
I hear other towns also talking about wanting to be sure that they get high-speed charging stations rather than
Yes.
someone having to spend a lot of hours charging. The high-speed ones can do it quite a bit faster.
That's what I hear.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. I see Andrea Bramley's hand up. Hello, Andrea.
Yes, hello. Well, I'd like to say thank you for flying the Pride flag this June. And I'd also like to remind the board that while I fully support flying the Ukrainian flag, there are many atrocities that are going on in the world, be it war, famine, or genocide. And remind everybody that the news coverage is a direct result of the demographic of people involved, being Caucasian and Catholic. And I would like to just make sure that we're not doing performative activism and that we potentially have a vetted source to donate to or sponsoring some Ukrainians. If people seeing the Pride flag will be queer youth that are empowered by it. I'm just, you know, in discussing this last year, one of the main concerns was people might potentially use flying the Pride flag as a way to piggyback off of their own flags flown. And while I, of course, would not object to the Ukrainian flag being flown, I do think it's important that it's more than just performative activism.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Andrea. Are there any other comments? Okay. Well, thank you all for attending, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.